this frenzy now of war, there's another way of looking at it. There's many ways of looking at it, but I reach for a certain way that's really never wrong. I saw a video on Twitter. I found myself using that Twitter quite a bit, looking at bits of videos. And the things that they put out there for a reason, aren't they? It's like, oh, get this one on, put this one up. This is an extreme case. Well, there was one that was pretty dull. They were a Hamas fighter who'd been captured. And he might have been lying about his age. He looked in his mid-20s and he asked him, he looked about 27 to me, like a full-grown man. He might have just been someone who's going to be a big guy. And 21. Like 21. Born in 2002. It's like, oh my God, what kind of education might he have been given? And when he set about on his jihad, from his point of view, he could see himself as fighting the good fight to send a clear fucking signal. Like, to deliberately go to horror and extreme, to use that as a psychological weapon of terror, because it is the oldest in the world bloodletting. Leave all the bodies behind, let the people see. But nowadays, it's been videoed. It's like these soldiers have had cameras on them and they've likely got hours and hours and hours of footage and have leaked little bits of it to have a deliberate psychological impact. As they get going as to where they start to look for more material in this old footage that they've taken, you're going to see all kinds of things, I think. More horrible things. So it's like this is the oldest psychological weapon in the world. Teach fear with terror. Now, it's like God, right? It's like the unforgivable sin is to trick God, you know. It's like that world them kids have grown up in, that education they've had, as to where it's often been pointed to in the past where they show certain facets of the Israeli education system as to where they take the kids to Auschwitz and things like that. Right? Better prepares them in life for living in a place where you could get hit with a fucking rocket. It has them function and not freak out and freeze. It's like those Israeli citizens had a mind to understand what were going on and get themselves into a safe place if they could. Get in a bomb shelter. Them things made for rockets, not made for having your house burnt to the ground. It's like, what a message that sends. Smoking out Jews trapped in cellars. It's like, yeah, well done. It's like, yeah, nice 20, 21st century meme. It's like you these inciting incidents of bits of film and photographs and stuff like that incite engagement in a war, and then de-escalation become more and more difficult. There's been thousands of them out there. Horrendous things to see. So there's a way of seeing that and it being, hey, I tell you for what. These are the kids you sent to kill us. What are you teaching these kids at school if they've come and done just the maximum amount of carnage they could? Fuck shit up until you run out of opportunity or ammunition. If you can bring hostages back, if you've got space in the vehicle, yeah, bring them back. There's the low number of hostages. They weren't like filling buses with people. It's like whoever you can drag back, whoever you can transport back by whatever. So it's like they'd be trading space with wounded, going back to Gaza with as many hostages as we could. It's like it's an abomination what they've done, and it's a deliberate abomination. It's like there's some people forgotten what the world was last week, and then there's some that haven't. I'm on the side where I see both sides, and I see a major hypocrisy as to where the forces that are in the world loyal to the Palestinian cause have been deeply betrayed, and instead of choosing to be betrayed, they've doubled down. No, surely not. There's some delusionary shit coming from what were the old Free Palestine movement. Because they're, in essence, over the years, as Islamophobia has become a thing, they've invited themselves to the party of the politically entitled and protected speech people. It's like they're in that crowd. They've merged their cars and their colours with that of the BLMs, the LGBTQ. They've merged themselves in. Free Palestine, they say. And it'd be a matter of, any idea what might be going on there? "21-year-olds on the rampage." Oh, great. Deliberate atrocity. Videoed it. Show people so they could horrify them. So it's like a whole new method of like global terrorism. Global terrorism on a historical stage. On a biblical stage, on a biblical proportion. Every time this one rolls around, I end up making a video and be talking about the crazy things that the Nation of Islam believe. And they be, oh yeah, they be those kind of Muslims in the States, the Israelites and the like. It's like they be amongst the most ridiculous people. They be a cult. They be something akin to Scientology, but with they have an ancient origin story, a kind of Zionist story as to them being the chosen people. As everyone's got a rival, haven't they, for being the chosen people? Everyone's got a rival myth as to why they're entitled to what they say they're entitled to. Everyone's got their own legendary bullshit. So we are now, firmly, because of all this blood spilt in the name of, they'll call it freedom, but it's jihad. This is the name of hatred, war. These guys who've gone out and done the killing have been government employees, representatives of the state of Palestine, Gaza. It's like this is kind of a war on another level. It's like, well, it's a democide. Well, what? Yes, the government, Hamas, sent a raid out to go and kill as many people as they could. And bring back photographic evidence that you've humiliated them and abused them. Mutilated the corpses. Now they talk about kids, babies beheaded. It's like, that's to send a message that's a deliberate, no, they didn't do that. It's like, yes, they did. That's a horrendous message to send. And they deliberately sent it because they want to fuck with Jews' heads. They want to terrorize the living Jews in the world by putting it on the internet. And then themselves trying to encourage that kind of behavior. And the old ISIS it's a Palestinian staple tactic, is to drive in the place under a flag of peace and then all jump out of the van with your AK-47 screaming out Akbar and shooting the fucking place up. It's a good old way of proving that the government can't fucking protect you and that you should stay the fuck out of it. Run, leave. The police aren't here to save you. Run for your fucking lives. So they know the way of bringing a state down. They know how to do it. Like, yeah, well, we kill all the cops. What? Yeah, and kill the mayor. And they say, ours? Would you take it like that? It's like, ours now, right, we're in charge. Kill anyone that we know will stand up against us. All right, okay. Say war's done. So it's like, faced with all that blood spill, there's a level of it that says, these are your kids. And there's an overwhelming force that would, right, these motherfuckers have got to die. And a certain vision and clarity as to it, send me. And it's like, oh, shit. It's like God's taken over. God's taken over the process. What, John? Yes, God's taken over. There's no thinking anymore. It's like, God, look at that situation and say, kill them all. What? Yeah. Make them pay for the company they keep. Bang. And give the command. Be like, do it. Pointed to Netanyahu coming back into power a few months ago, and I'm like, good move. Why, John? Because Biden, right, he's not going to do nothing about anything. He's not going to say shit about anything. Netanyahu, if need be, he'll take the blame for that. If history remembers him as being the guy who ordered an all-out attack on Gaza and it was a bloodbath, he'll rest with that on his shoulders and die with it. I did what I had to do. So they've indoctrinated those Israeli kids over years to be frightened. And this terrible, this indoctrination that they do with these Israeli kids. It's like, well, you know, they'd have probably lost a few more people if they hadn't been indoctrinated. Some of them have had decent instincts, haven't they, and fled. Or else, proven to lightly armed terrorists that you might pose more of a problem than, the defenseless people next door. Shocking. It's like if marauders can do that to your country, or there's no, the police say like, well, the cops not saving you. What have they gone? They've gone in and done. They've killed all the local cops as soon as they've turned up to react to it. Dead. Looted whatever arsenals they could, carried on going. It's like, yeah. You've no country, have you, when your enemy's doing that? And it's like, this is learned now. These are the tried and tested tactics of terrorists in the Middle East. It's like, yeah, this is kind of the way that they operate. be a psychological attack on the whole world because they've broadcasted live. So it's like there's a strong force that can't be resisted that's saying fuck those people, and be right from that perspective. From God's eye, that'd be right. And he'd be like, John, I'm like, you just don't understand God. Like, you kill 1,000 people. It's like, a friend of mine this week, dog passed away suddenly. Looks like it was poisoned. Whether it was accidental, on purpose, no one can ever say. But there are plenty of people out in the world who are feckless cunts who throw things like rat poison around like it's some kind of fucking fertiliser. Isn't there? Well, that sense of loss. I heard about it the other day. Oh, what a terrible, that's terrible, like a tragedy. Where it's a matter of somebody killed my dog, or was it an accident, or, and knowing you'll never hear a word of truth. It's like everyone could see how that could turn to anger, couldn't they? Anyone's thinking one might reach for it, and it's like, that's a tiny thing. It's just to say that this week, were just that, for that moment, I felt that fucking bastard. Well, then at the same time, it'd be like, you may be able to put it down as stupidity, but you're still on the hook. You're a fucking idiot. Reckless people throwing poisons around. Some idiot will put it down by a fence, or scattered it and it got blown, and then that dog sniffing around. Oh, there's something familiar. Gives it a taste, and then it's not so bad because they'll eat practically fucking anything. 2 hours later, gone. Shocker. You know, like your heart. Oh. Just gone. Just like that about, isn't there? Just tragedy, just blasted, just wiped out. And to have met such a grisly end, so many people. God's in that place. And he'd be like, you motherfuckers. Those people are like, because of all the shit and dogma over the years that surrounds it all, because it's like weapon and shield to some degree. But it's like the Muslim Islamic version. Oh, they use it as a way to endlessly play the victim and try to build a kind of global consensus. Is it just fireworks or is it actual gunfire? A lot of that around here. People letting off fireworks. There'll be a news flash. Let's see if something heavy's happened. War appears to have escalated. Well, at Lebanon, it's like shit. Yeah, and he's turning off this, doesn't it? me right off that load of fireworks going off. Can you hear that? There's, again, that's another thing. It's like, what is that for? Why do we get these sudden eruptions of fireworks going off like all the time? There's speculations that it's a method of communication, that someone's planning something or someone uses it as a way of signalling. Always the assumption is that that's to tell, like, the heroin distributors amongst themselves. Basically a coded message amongst like a dog whistle amongst like medium level risk drug distributors, so that big banging actually just be a message to be sent to maybe 3 people of the thousands and thousands who hear it. And then people say, I think you're overthinking it a bit there, John. It's not my theory. My mother told me that. That's what they talk about on the estate she lives on when they hear bang, 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 bang. So it means something to somebody. They're not free, those things. No one's really that into it, setting off fireworks. You wouldn't say, if you really just like setting off fireworks, you could go up the fucking mowers and set off as many as you liked, and it'd seem louder, but nobody give a fuck. You could set off an old box full before anyone said anything. Plenty of places you can go and set off a lot of fucking fireworks. But no, they choose to do it in urban areas, so it's a disruption. What is it? I don't know if it's about drug dealers, but it's certainly code. It's not done for nothing. It sends a message. We don't know what the message is, but it's a message done deliberately. You don't accidentally set off a big box full of fireworks like that, do you? There's purpose to it as to how to send an analog signal that can never be traced. No one fucking knows who set those fireworks off. No one's now ringing up the police saying, I'm sick of my neighbours setting off fireworks. No, they come from like industrial estates over yonder. Signals of one kind or another. Not cheap signals either. Well, there's genius to that. It's like the cops might be watching all your text messages, everything you do, but they can't control what you might say to someone when there's no microphones. They can't control what you might write down and give someone a note. The computer does not understand your code language, nor would anyone who care to listen. So the old style methods of sending a message in code are back in play. So we're back in the world of double speak code language as to like Cockney rhyming slang. There's a new album by the Rolling Stones called Hackney Diamonds. And it's like, oh, well, they're talking about themselves, obviously. And it's like, no. It's a reference to a place that's been burgled with Hackney diamonds all over the street, little piece of glass. I thought that's clever. That's very Cockney. Hackney diamonds. Not really a place known for its diamonds, but there's a lot of broken glass on the road. Two meanings. Yeah, coded language. Expect more of it, because that's the method that's available, isn't it? Even in your like instant messages, they're not secure. It's good. The good thing about instant messages is you don't have to really worry unless you're up to no good. But if you were up to no good, right, you wouldn't be using apps like that. You'd have got caught years ago using one stupid fucking app or another. Once one idiot gives up his phone and all the contacts come out of it and they start to spew all that information into the database and it starts to make its own little connections. Don't need people knowing who you are, do you? And it's like the old system of handshake, false name. So you have code names, don't you? There's no such real thing as internet anonymity. They can trace your IP, so it's like, yeah, you might call yourself like Superstar Troll 88, but with like a warrant, governments can say, right, who is this guy? Well, he logs in on this IP address. Who's that belong to? Oh, it's rented to this firm. All right, who do you rent that out to? This guy. Oh, have you got his name and address? Yeah. But his bank details if you want them. Bang. They got you. If they want you. If you're a fucking terrorist, if you're talking about moving the mines around and things like that. So it's like knowing that that's where the bad guys are looking, it means that the old ways of doing things have become even more unbreakable. So old-fashioned tradecraft and code speak, double talk, it's there, isn't it? Easy done. Hell of a lot of double speaking in the world, isn't there? But yeah, it's like the spirit that I identify as God, as I know God, wants, gives the green light to kill all the Palestinians. And be like, have it, hit them straight in the face, bang, give it them. And it's like, no, it's kind of for us to maybe, might we benefit you from doing something unexpected? Tell you what, you know, surrender. HAMAS, surrender. That's the work. That's the place to go. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm campaigning for. Ha! That's my campaign. HAMAS, surrender for your atrocities. Surrender. Beg for mercy. Surrender. It's like you're being asked a question. Who's coming for you? God's coming for you. And it's like, the brain's gone, switched off. They're all, boom, da, 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 da. They're in. God, I know is coming for you, ruthlessly. Like, they'll take a lot of casualties if they try and fight street to street. It's like, you guys never heard of artillery. Duh. Support fire, martyrs. It's like you're going to see all kinds of martyrs used in the next week or two. It goes into like a ground phase. Martyrs are going to be like, number one weapon, just wallop them in there. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I see a guy 250 yards away. He thinks I didn't see him. Well, press button, poof! Fucking mortar shell, bang! See a lot of that. It's like you think, you know, drones make certain kinds of combat really lethal. Well, drones make mortars just the ultimate weapon because they're up and down, non-line of sight weapon. You can't shoot the guy who's firing a fucking mortar at you because he's going up, boom, over, lobbing grenades at you. With the aid of little drones, they are now like the ultimate weapon of war. And it's like, do the Hamas guys know this already? And it's like, are they prepared? Have they got enough? Because that's the kind of battle it'd be. It'll be big guns, medium-sized guns, mortars, wallop, 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 cheaper. And if it's like there's there's like 6 people holed up in this building, yeah, take it out, bang, £500 bomb, boom. They don't have to risk gunfights. The way war works, the urban warfare, will be a lot of casualties. Like, right, well, not really. What if you've got you get your guys on the ground? If you've got all the fire support in the world, you just destroy all the cover, all of it. You don't get in a gunfight with anyone. You draw fire from them. You get hunkered down behind something, and you wait until your support fire annihilates all the cover, and they back off, run away, withdraw, die, and then you advance. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. So when they say Israeli army take a lot of casualties, it's like, but for how long? It's like they're not gonna risk walking into a massacre of their own. Why should they? They've got enough big mortars to just start leveling the place before they go in, over and over and over again, day after day after day. It's like surrender, because that's what you get in. It's like you're going to get the treatment. They're going to flush you out. No one's stopping them, because it's like no one can, I don't think, at this stage. They've decided it's just been stripped down to bones as to the old God's going to lay down the old God's judgment. And the old God judgment is you can all just take it. Because the associations you've made, the companies you keep, the way your kids behave, what you'd see as being acceptable human conduct, you threat to the order of all things. No, you're going down for it. And no one can get past it. They've all fallen in the way. It's like we all understand God, all of us, every single one. We just choose to call it something different. And you know when you've kind of had enough, like, yeah, that's when the guy's most active. But it's a matter of that instinct. It doesn't always a violent instinct. It's one of a call to action, call to ready. Mind, body, spirit. It's not just that. It's like it calls out to everything. It calls out to the whole being of you. That outrage like that. You're like, that's something fucking new, isn't it? Some people are shocked by what's happened, and the worst ones are the ones who are in really a state of disbelief, who've always had faith that in supporting the pro-Palestinian movement, that they were on the right side, that they were on the side of right. Everything the Israelis have ever said about how dangerous Hamas are has been proven true. Absolutely true. And that was actually the message he set out to broadcast. So in a move as it was, it's like, instead of what they've done is they've disassociated Hamas, the people who support Palestine ostensibly. They've now divorced it from these fighters. So, no, they don't work for the government. They're not government employees. And Palestine isn't a kind of quasi death cult dictatorship. Teaches kids to stab Jews and things like that. Not that. The Free Palestine lobby keeps that status quo in Palestine the way it is. Makes them dependent on aid and shit. So that's just enough. Just the conditions they need to turn a generation of kids into a generation of like proper Viking Raider style fucking thug mercenaries. Like, oh, what fine work you've done. It's like, nah, the tragedy of those soldiers is a crime against humanity. Them kids you've taught to be that, that's a crime against humanity. You've created like an army of the damned, like fucking orcs. That's playing God. That's an affront to what's natural. Then on the other side of it, you got the Israelis been teaching their kids, those guys mean to kill you. And they turned out that they were right. And the situation would have been much worse if people hadn't already been fully aware, living where they were living, that there were a possibility that the day may come when, but it'd be nonetheless shocking, disgusting. It's like, welcome to the end. If you'd have asked me a year ago, right, if we're talking like World War III kick off, as to where we'd already be into the Ukraine thing, and with the Islamic thing, I always, and I'm not going to give you an I told you so. I'm someone who has long since speculated that all it would take would be a significant bloodletting of Jews to actually kick off World War III, because you could lay open the biblical end of the story, the ends of the story. You know what I mean? You could open the door to supernatural movements being able to co-opt all of these leftist, narcissistic, sympathetic, victim-led movements underneath the one umbrella, and that umbrella happened to be, you know, the old question of the Jews and their place, and, you know, where we all stand. Take the battle to that place. Where it's like, it's not a place to do battle, Gaza. It's not. Historically, it's not a good place to be attacking. Kind of goes on and on and on and on and on. And to fight your way through it, knowing the streets where your opponent doesn't, you've a good chance you would eventually win in a kind of an old style battle. So the only tactic left really available to do war with Gaza would be to just wipe it off the face of the fucking earth and smash it to pieces with, if you had the means, nuclear weapon. What, John? Like, oh yeah. I think they've had enough, them Israelis. It's like they've gone into God mode, and God is saying, you wipe it clean, mate. If that's who they are, kill them. Kill them all. Make them pay the price for the company to keep. Sodom and Gomorrah situation. It's like, yeah, it's like, that's where it is. It's like, you say, oh, John. I'm like, no, it's like, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on in the news. Like, there's no turning it off. It's got all that rains, it's on its way. They're all reaching for their old books. They're all reaching for scripture on all sides. In a very superstitious world with very gullible, fearful and fucking ignorant people. As to where you can turn it into a polarising issue that sucks in all of the superstitious people. The Islamic sorcerers, they know this. The Israeli Defence Forces, they're supposed to know this too. That's like a cold reality of the day, is all this. This is the stage, you know, if you want to pull off something like the Islamic Revolution, you have to be on the Islamic Revolution playing field. the Islamic Revolution, as they would say, Jeremy Corbyn the other day called Hamas a right-wing organisation. I'm like, how dare you? It's like they are socialists, they are collectivists, they are men of the left, they are your ambassadors out there. That's the government you back. They're your friends. They're these people that you guys have trusted. He's lost his mind totally, hasn't he, Galloway, on this. He's like, oh, those Jew bastards are going to smash these people. It's like, mate, it's like, did you see what they did? It's like, you should have immediately be calling for Hamas to completely surrender. It's like they've betrayed you, mate. All of you free Palestine guys, it's like, do you not see that government made you part of their surprise attack and have now made you part of the PR war, which is a fucking biblical, magical PR war. They made you part of that. You've joined in. You're part of their psychological warfare, and they're better at psychological warfare than you'd even believe is possible. They're better at it because they understand blood magic. There's a massive knock-on effect every time you take a life like that on the interpersonal level, and if you share it with the world on the world level, as to where people so suddenly start to identify as to what am I? Who are these people to me? And it's still having an effect on you. It's like, welcome to the final incarnation of reality television. It's been a long time coming. Always there, always on the cards, always on the tip of everyone's tongue. Psychological warfare campaign like that, let's get to killing. Said it myself on this channel, don't like to say it, as to where the thing in the world that's stopping the world from going to open bloodletting is poor target selection. Been joking for years about what you could possibly do with a homemade drone, found out. I was thinking about it, others were making shit. Weaponizing the whole technology years ahead of what you thought might have been possible, and then they get the ultimate playground. And it not be the kind of technology where you have to wait 10 years to develop this and invent that and make this fit. No, just like a toy. Like a big model aeroplane. Oh, let's put a couple of them on it. Drone warfare, but there's two sides of drone warfare. There's the raid style drone warfare, and then there's the, we don't need artillery spotters anymore. No, we don't, do we? Let it rip. It's like your enemy's blowing you to bits and you're not even getting in range of them to shoot back. You see, if and it must have been, if the Israelis have been keeping an eye on what the Russians have been able to do, or the Russian way of doing war against the Ukrainians, which is to hold the pocket, occupy it, hold it firm, and then bring out the assault troops, put the second string guys in, let them guys hold it ostensibly, and then mine it, go back to the second line of defence, and then have it mined, spotted, sensors everywhere. To get a sensor, like some radio sensor, and it goes beep beep, detects a sound, and then that sends a message or a text message to some guy operating a drone. Oh, let's go and have a look. And then it'd be, we've got any artillery available, like you're putting out a job. It's like putting a job on Uber. One signs up for it. Yeah, I like that one. Bang. It's like fire control, as it is called. It's come on in the last couple of wars, say 10 years, but certainly in the last 3 years, war has come on an incredible amount because of drones. Has come on an incredible amount. So the weapons of World War One have become the ultimate weapons of 2023 because of drones. So it's not the drone, it's the high explosive artillery shells that can direct onto something that's actually there for strategic reasons, as to whether the generals can be doing their job in a room with a lot of computer screens with access to all the comms. So it's like a colonel would no longer be on the battlefield. There's absolutely no need to be, and really the only reason you need troops is to just clear out and advance. Just support tanks moving up. Still in the range of your great big guns. I bet there's no part of Gaza that the Israeli army can't hit with an artillery shell. I'm saying they've decided and they're going about it the way that you would go about it if you meant to just take it and win. And you've weighed that they've taken hostages, and that's just an even bigger fuck you to them. So this is the game you play. You've taken hostages, therefore we have lost. We have to surrender because you're using human beings as shields. You're trying to stop people from fleeing. The greatest weapon that the Israeli army has was always going to be triggered anyway. Right, and that'd be with the provocation of the atrocity attack, which is, you know, the people of Gaza are going to be now told to flee, and they be meaning it. And those people, suddenly from being those who quietly go about doing their work and keeping the world going, are they're going to run. They're going to become bags of shit to hold. They're going to become refugees in your own country, and that'd be part of the price that Hamas was willing to pay, because that was the most predictable outcome for the power to be cut off, for the water to be cut off. They were acceptable losses that Hamas decided that they would take, and I move that they are tremendous war crimes against their own people, as to where you'll turn your own population into refugees and make them vulnerable. As a direct repercussion, this act you're going to do, it's going to get the full force. All the weapons of war are going to be used, and your own people used as a weapon of war against you is the first one we can reach for, because they know we fucking mean it. So rightfully the population want to run. It's like, they won't let them over the border. It's like, no, you don't have to go over the border if you're going to run from a war zone. You can just go out into the countryside or to the beach. You are fucked and you are a refugee in your own country. But wherever, like, the UN do-gooders have set up, like an aid centre, that's where the food will be. So go there. Just start walking towards wherever the Red Cross place will be. It'll be well out of the fire zone. There'll be nobody shelling that. It'll be the safest place to be, and that's what they're doing. It's like, those who want to be part of the exodus, you can, start your fucking long walk. Can't go to Egypt. Egypt be like, no, our mental health services could not take the strain of you people. What? Yeah, this is 2023. You're not coming here. The Friends of Palestine, as was a week ago, should now turn on Hamas and demand their surrender. Voices like Galloway. They should. We in the Free Palestine movement have been betrayed by Hamas. And they've made us look like dicks. They've taken our support and our faith, and that we give them the benefit of the doubt. And they've used us, and they've made us look like fools for trusting them. It's the way out. That's the way it ends. If the international non-aligned sort of a halfway house public opinion, you know, that the sort of centrist view turned to, you've betrayed your own people and all your supporters from their position of goodwill towards you to carry out a televised atrocity and brag about it, and then hide underground and play the victim, looking for your opportunity to escape. It's like the boss is coming for them. There's a reckoning, and it's like, don't get in the way of it. And the only way it stops it is like mass surrender, and then once mass surrender comes, it be massacre, mass execution of Hamas. No international courts, no fucking trials, no lawyers, no politicians, no shore trials for the Hamas. Done with, gone. That's what's in store. I'm not saying I condone. I'd like to come to a better solution personally, but them are the forces at play. You'll not turn that off. You'll have a shot as to what day are we on? Like 5-6 days in, that the shot would be starting to wear off with one or two of the people who've leapt into it, but those who've leapt straight into uniform, they'll still be running on pure adrenaline, won't they? Now back with the units. And then that old boys brigade in the IDF always frightened me as being potentially lethal fighting men. That there'll be guys coming back who are my age and joining up with guys who they joined up with in the last struggle. So it's like they've got experience right through the ranks. So their experience always comes back, and it's always available to them. And it's like those guys, a lot of them are unflappable killers. And years would have been wanting to have been just told, right, now we're going to go and get them. This is it. Fuck them. And they see themselves as having the moral imperative. Do God's work, track down, destroy evil. Having identified it and said, this is the trouble. Get rid of this. And they'd be right. It compute to them. They're like, yeah, well, it's difficult, it's hard, but we'll be the ones who take the responsibility for it. Netanyahu would be someone who sign up to be the butcher of 50,000 people. Sign up for it, but I gave the order to attack. I can go. He wouldn't mind if he went down in history as being the guy who ordered that attack. And he wouldn't join a legacy of butchers to a few people or a certain group. He'd make himself someone who could get the job done, which is why they put him back in power. Biden, doing nothing, he's not going to. Thing is that Netanyahu, he understands the illusion of the tough, resolute and dangerous Israel that is what keeps them in power and what keeps all the tyrants around them in power as well. Israel appearing strong makes the Middle East actually a safer place. Israel appearing weak makes them vulnerable because much of the defensive measures are magical, based on the illusions of certain capabilities, strengths, abilities. So it's like, you prove that a lie. You prove that you can get to them with an old-fashioned Viking raid and just set about doing massacring and put it on the internet, and that be an attack on the Jewish state as well as the Jewish people. Elegant. And the terrorists you send out all work for the government. They're Hamas employees. So it's a democide. So it's like, to answer democide with democide is the question here, and it's a matter of, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And you know what? If Israel was to have, in the first instance, said, oh, let's not jump to any conclusions here. It's like they'd have still been scraping up them Hamas fires. They just carried on. They had to mobilise. Like they really did. They had to go to high alert. They had to call up the reserves. They had to. It's like, this is, if everyone in the world works out that is the strategy of how to get the job done and follows suit, it's like that kind of behaviour is the biggest threat to any country in the world. And for that kind of base attack to have succeeded in the way that it did, it succeeded. It's like mission success. Succeeded. What did you do? Oh, we've brought video back. Is it really bad? Oh yeah, there's things done here that you wouldn't believe human beings be fucking capable of. Oh good. You had a good day then. It's like people you might think of being like good people are humanitarian, and they'll talk about the children, and they'll talk about the poor women, and they'll talk about the elderly, and they'll be like, what about that beyond the pale fucking heinous shit that just came off? Does that not change your opinions on these people you'd ostensibly go to the wall for in protecting their human rights? Those people? Like, well, they weren't personally responsible for it. It's like, no, are those? It shouldn't have you sort of flipping sides, but it should give you fucking pause and think, hey, hang on a minute, have I been betrayed? If you think you've been betrayed in your support of Palestine over the years because of the actions of the employees, I suggest you demand that they surrender. Stop supporting Palestine and start supporting a movement of people who've been betrayed, calling for a surrender. I'm not seeing nothing of it. Not yet. when it breaks out, it'll break out quick though.